A lot of fans are having mixed reactions to the big Jimmy twist, so we'll break it down and see what's going on there. We'll also check out what could be coming next for Bianca Belair, Iyo Sky, and more. Let's start things off with the big Jimmy return and twist at Summerslam. So, just a few weeks ago on SmackDown, Jimmy was name-dropped and mentioned heavily during Roman and Jey exchanging words with each other. Roman made the argument that Jimmy should be furious with Jey because of how selfish Jey really is. Roman said that Jimmy will never forgive Jey and how everything that happened to him is all his fault. And how Jey immediately tried going for the Universal title and Tribal Chief position as soon as Jimmy was gone. Jey did verbally say several times that he was only doing all this for Jimmy, but you can see Jey also had a lot to gain for himself personally if he did win the SummerSlam match. And that was Roman's main argument and point that he was trying to get across, that Jey wasn't doing this all for Jimmy, he was actually doing it only for himself. So that brings us to SummerSlam and the big twist. As expected, Roman Reigns versus Jey quickly became a handicap 2-on-1 match with Solo Sikoa getting involved. But surprisingly enough, Jey was able to take out the both of them and actually looked like he was going to get another 3 count over Roman Reigns, but he's pulled out of the ring by a mystery hooded person. That person takes off their mask and hoodie to reveal themselves to be Jimmy. After staring down Jey for several moments, Jimmy superkicked Jey, threw him in the ring, and walked out of the arena. Roman Reigns looked extremely confused when he saw Jimmy, and that facial expression from Roman also reveals that this was not a plan from Roman and Heyman. They didn't plot this with Jimmy. They were completely unaware and he acted alone. So Roman's facial expression was great confirmation that he wasn't informed about Jimmy's plans beforehand at all. But Roman finishes the job and defeats Jey with the big assist, of course, going to Jimmy. Now a lot of fans were immediately crying about how it doesn't make sense, how it's dragging and all that other stuff, so let's break it down. Firstly, Jimmy is not back with Roman Reigns in the Bloodline. That's the first big thing to point out that some fans were confused about. Jimmy is not aligning himself back up with Roman Reigns. If Jimmy went back under Roman's control, then yes, that would make no sense. But that's not the case. Jimmy acted alone and he's still not part of the Bloodline anymore. If Jimmy went in the ring, raised Roman's hand, then yeah, that would be extremely confusing. But Roman didn't know of Jimmy's plan, and Jimmy walked out as soon as his job was done. So what's the story and main issue here for Jimmy and Jey? Well, it's pretty much everything that Roman told Jey several weeks ago when they were talking about Jimmy. Everything Roman said appears to be Jimmy's reasoning. It's possible that WWE had Roman say that several weeks ago just to give us some clues and hints about Jimmy's motives. It appears that Jimmy has no issue with Roman. In Jimmy's eyes, they took care of Roman Reigns at Money in the Bank together, and that was a special moment. But it looks like Jimmy's biggest issue with Jey was that he was basically on his way of becoming a new Roman Reigns, a new version of what they vowed to stop. And he wanted to stop Jey before he got that far. Just look at how everything with Roman Reigns started and where he's at today. If Jey or just anybody else would have stopped Roman early on in 2020, things probably never would have gotten to this point. But because no one stopped Roman back then, he's become this insane madman driven with power and greed. And as crazy as it sounds, because he was the babyface in the feud, Jey was pretty much headed in that same direction here in recent weeks. Jey pinned Roman Reigns and that wasn't enough for him. He suddenly wanted more and more. He not only wanted a title match, he wanted the Tribal Chief position to be on the line as well. So everything Roman was saying a few weeks ago is pretty much true in a way. Jey was becoming very selfish and greedy with everything he's been asking for since Jimmy went out. Jey's supposed to be doing it for Jimmy and getting that payback for Jimmy, but he's in a match that benefits only him possibly becoming the new Universal Champion and the new Tribal Chief. So it's a gray area because we know Jey is a good person and his intentions are pure, but it does come off as being selfish and as if he's taking advantage of these massive opportunities now that Jimmy was hurt. So that instead of being by his side in the hospital and truly caring for him, Jey was back on SmackDown trying to win the Universal title and Tribal Chief position all for himself. And Jimmy has a big problem with that. Jey was basically well on his way of becoming a new version of Roman Reigns and starting the cycle all over again. They just fought hard to get away from Roman Reigns, and Jey was basically becoming Roman right before their eyes. So Jimmy had to stop him because of that. So taking all that into consideration, it's hard to paint Jimmy as the bad guy, because if he uses the story of Jey being selfish and only looking for things that benefited himself, he's kind of right. But at the same time, it's no secret that Jimmy has always been jealous of Jey, especially over the last few years. Remember, right before Jey officially left the Bloodline, Paul Heyman revealed to Jey that Jimmy did speak to him and Roman privately about how he felt that Jey should have never been the right-hand man. And when Jey turned around to ask Jimmy if it was true, Jimmy straight up admitted to it that it was true. That moment there went overlooked and wasn't really revisited because Jimmy and Jey would reunite to take on Roman and Solo, but it looks like now we'll be revisiting all of that and more. So there's a lot of fans that were quick to say that Jimmy's turn didn't make any sense, but you really gotta dive in and look deep in the story because there's a lot of reasoning for Jimmy to betray Jey. Now, if you want to say that they should have waited a bit to pull the trigger on the Jimmy versus Jey feud, then that's fine. You can make that argument. But to say Jimmy had no reason at all to attack Jey is heavily wrong. You can even argue that these last few weeks have been all about giving Jimmy reason to come after Jey. Jey lost track of the mission. He was only supposed to get revenge for Jimmy, but as the weeks went by, Jey just wanted more and more. He wanted the Universal title to be added to the match. He wanted the Tribal Chief position to be added to the match. And with all those selfish things thrown into the match, Jey's original goal of getting payback for Jimmy just got lost in the shuffle there. So the Bloodline arc appears to be officially over. It doesn't look like Jimmy or Jey will be directly involved with Roman Reigns anymore. It looks like everything will be separated going forward. Jimmy versus Jey will be its own story, and Roman's next challenger will be something completely unrelated to Jimmy and Jey. And with rumors that Roman Reigns may be going on a little break after SummerSlam, it's possible that Jimmy and Jey could have that main event spotlight all for their storyline on SmackDown. So things are definitely heating up there. There's a lot of good ideas here about what Jimmy's problem may be with Jey, but it's obviously going to be interesting to see what Jimmy truly has to say. Now let's get into things with Bianca Belair and the SummerSlam triple threat match for the women's title. There was a spot towards the end of the match where Bianca Belair went flying over the top rope, hit the steps, and was on the floor nearly in tears with her knee. The spot fooled a lot of fans into thinking it was real, but it turned out to be a part of the match and story. Bianca storms her way back to the ring and pushes through with that injured knee to pick up the win and secure the WWE Women's Championship. But out came Iyo Sky to cash in her Money in the Bank contract, and Bianca's title reign was over within seconds. So it was a great big deal for Iyo Sky and Damage Control, but they're clearly up to something here with Bianca Belair as well. She screws her knee up, she keeps being that strong and courageous babyface to keep fighting through it. It pays off, she wins the title, but she gets cashed in on, and the fans couldn't care less about Bianca in that moment because they're all going crazy for Iyo. So it does make you wonder if it's setting Bianca Belair up for that heel turn. She fought through a lot in the match, only for it to end like that in that fashion. So how will Bianca Belair react to that? The last few weeks have been about Bianca not sitting back and letting anyone cut in front of her anymore. So what will she change now after going through what she went through at SummerSlam? A lot of fans have been lightly discussing the idea of Bianca Belair joining her husband Montez Ford inside of Bobby Lashley's faction. And you do have to wonder if that's even a bigger possibility now after what we just saw at SummerSlam. But what are your thoughts on today's stories? Leave your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.